Gotta fix little plushies. Today's beverage, water. A little boring, but I recently started taking creatine. It requires you to be very hydrated. I'm such a gym bro now, like it's, Hi guys, it's Dustin. I almost forgot to introduce myself. Today we're doing another chat, get ready with me video. I'm actually not gonna put on too much makeup today. I think I wanna take a little bit of a break from it. I think I'm just gonna put on a little concealer. This is Kosa's and call it a day. A few days ago, I went to the Sabrina Carpenter concert in Los Angeles. It was actually on 420. Hey! I personally do not participate in the Mary Jane, but if y'all do, hope you guys had a great day. I am just too much of a control freak. I just need total control of my body and my mind at all times. I worry too much about what I'm gonna say or what I'm gonna do, and I'm not gonna be able to control myself because naturally I have such a filter on. I think I don't really like who I am, which sounds bad. I work really hard to be who I am. So I always try to put my best self forward, try to be the attributes that I want, to try to manifest it, especially with others around me, which kind of is gonna lead into what we're gonna be talking about today, which is perception and being perceived and how people perceive me. I forgot to put on sunscreen, dude. Oh well, I'm not going out today anyways. Even though lately it's been bad for me, I've just been staying home. Actually, that's a lie because last week I saw a few of my friends throughout the week, but for some reason I still have been feeling so lonely. Especially yesterday, I was so down and nostalgic. I started watching my old vlogs. I get a lot of comments like, oh my god, Dustin, you're my comfort person, you're my comfort YouTuber. Me too. I'm my own comfort YouTuber. The amount of times I watch my old videos is actually narcissistic. What can I say? I'm proud of my own videos and they're like my memories, obviously. I've just been feeling very lonely, which I've always dealt with. Okay, this is not even the topic of the video, but I'm just gonna quickly go on this tangent just real fast. But I feel like everyone's always like, oh, you have to learn how to be alone and like do stuff alone and enjoy being alone and love yourself. Y'all, I have done the journey. I'm a very independent person, don't get me wrong. I live alone, I work alone, I go to concerts alone, I go to the movies alone. Like I did it, y'all. So don't even tell me all of that bullshit because I have done it. And at the end of the day, I think we are human beings, we need social interaction, and I am just not a person that's meant to be alone. The conclusion I came to about that is because I don't see my friends on a routine basis. I hang out with my friends very sporadically. I see them at least like maybe once every week or two. But other than that, like the rest of the time, I'm just by myself. And because it's sporadic and I never know when I'm gonna see people, it doesn't really help with the loneliness. Sometimes I look at people and I'm like, holy shit, we're the same age and you look like that and I look like a child. Some people look so grown. I don't mean that in a negative connotation like, oh, you look old. I want to look like that. And people say, oh, at least when you're like 30 or 40 you'll look young. But it's like, I don't want to look 25 when I'm 40. I mean, I do, but it's like, I want to look hot now so I can date people my age now. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to be 40 years old looking 25. I'm not gonna date a 25-year-old when I'm 40 years old. You know, that would be kind of weird unless you're Leonardo DiCaprio. So it's just like, dang, I wish, you know, I love myself and it's okay. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. I'm good the way I am. Yeah. I think a lot about and I'm very aware about being perceived and I want to know how people perceive me, and I am that person who asks their friends to describe their perception of me in excruciating detail. This is so much hair actually, it's crazy. I need to get a haircut. I've been thinking about getting a perm again. Catch me back in my perm era. Throwback to high school Dustin where I had a perm, but it was like horrible. This time around, I'm definitely gonna go for more of like a lighter perm, a wavy perm. I even made a Pinterest board inspired by how I want to be perceived. I will say when I made it, I was going through a tough time and I was very insecure. So it is a bunch of photos of white guys. And you know, they're like in Europe or something, they're like leaning against the windowsill, looking super cool, or like in like a cool kitchen, cooking, but they look so good cooking. They constantly are photogenic. I should probably update that Pinterest board. I don't really look at it anymore since then, but when I made that Pinterest board and I looked at it, I was like, wow, I just pinned a bunch of random white guys. I guess I was back in my I want to be white phase, which, you know, is a very dark time for us POC. I feel like a lot of people hate being perceived, and I am the same way. but other people wouldn't ask others how they're perceived because, you know, maybe you're mentally sane and care about your well-being and wanting to protect your peace, but I guess I'm just not that person. Because I always ask people, oh, how do you see me? Like, what's my vibe? How do you perceive me? What's your first impression of me? I want to know if the way they look at me is how I want them to look at me and how I look at myself. And you know, most of the time it's not that. I guess when it comes to how I want to be perceived, I want to be perceived as cool, charming, likable, positive. Like, I just want to be that person that walks into a room and people turn their heads and look at me, want to be around me and love being around me. I kind of just want to be that guy. But I think the problem is I also am very self-aware. I know in all honesty how people probably look at me. It's not how I want to be perceived. I'm not naturally that person, and it's hard to accept. And I can look at it positively where we all can change, we all can work on ourselves. So I can work towards being that person who I want to be, and I try to work towards it every day. But the fact that I'm not that person already and I'm not naturally, you know, super cool, charming, funny, I think I'm a little funny, charming, and you know, and I think it all circles back and stems from attraction. Attraction is another thing that I feel like has been on my mind and has affected my life a lot, specifically being attractive to other people. And this is kind of hard to talk about, actually. Whoa. Or maybe my pants are too tight. Like, I feel like I can't breathe and I'm like, oh, is this topic like that difficult to talk about? But I think my pants are just really tight and I need to unbuckle. Okay, whew. I can breathe. Damn, Brandy Melville. They're not lying when they say one size. Back to what I was saying, all those attributes I listed before, I want to be those things because I think those traits are attractive. At the end of the day, I just want to be perceived as an attractive man. I also have a very complicated relationship when it comes to masculinity because I'm not a very masculine guy, and I don't know why I look at it as a negative, even though it shouldn't be a negative. First of all, the whole concept of masculinity and femininity is a whole thing on its own where I'm like, oh, why do we have to even deal with this type of stuff? But I almost see masculinity as the more desirable trait, especially because I identify as a male. I feel like this constant need to be masculine as if it's not okay that I am a more feminine man. And of course, it's probably like social media and like society in itself that values masculinity. But it really sucks because I do feel this way where I'm like, I'm not very masculine and that makes me feel less than others. And I am not attractive because I'm not as masculine as other people. And I know that's not true because everyone has like different opinions, and some people do like more feminine men or whatever, and that's like attractive to them. But I guess in my head, I think of like majority, and in my head, majority people like masculine men. Or I know at my core, like I'm not a very masculine man, and I'm in touch with my feminine side. What can I say? I'm happy I am though, because there's so many people out there who are so held back by their masculinity as well. The fact that I am in touch in both sides, I'm okay with embracing myself and being myself, and for example, like fashion wise, wearing whatever I want and open to trying and wearing anything, like that is amazing and I love that about myself. But I can't help but value masculinity so much, and it not an insecurity of mine because I'm okay with like embracing my femininity. It's very annoying how I want to be attractive, but also that's such a normal feeling. Who wouldn't want to be seen as like, oh, you're an attractive, hot person? I don't think anyone would ever complain about that. I guess another thing is like, since I'm a person on the internet, I am very aware of analytics, and I just noticed that there's dudes like on TikTok, for example, they are seen as really hot and attractive, and it's because they're like a masculine man, and they can gain an audience just from being in front of the camera and sitting there. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to do bare minimum and gain an audience from it. But because I'm not perceived as like this hot masculine man, I can't do that. And that bothers me. Yeah, we're being real honest today, huh? I am everywhere in this conversation, but I wanted to add more stuff to hopefully help clarify. I think I'm more perceived as like a friend. Like that's how I'm looked at. Oh, Dustin, that's my friend. He's nice, he's kind, he's very honest, very blunt. And I feel like that's just how people perceive me. And maybe that's like the insecurity in me that I can't completely see how others see me, but I think I have a pretty good grasp on reading other people where I know how other people look at me.
Not so much directed towards me, but I get a lot of sexual messages.
Yeah.
About people that I hang out with.
Right.
So that's really awesome for me.
Weird as hell.
It is. It's because people see me as like the friend,
Yeah.
and I'm a means to an end, and I'm like, awesome.
That's cool.
Your fans are friend zoning you to other people.
Yeah, it's a cool feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
It's
really
really cool.
respectful.
And also, I am confident in myself. I do know I'm not, ugly, and I do think of myself as attractive, but I think I'm attractive in a different way compared to how I would like to be perceived. I think I'm perceived as attractive in a more feminine way than a more masculine way. For example, I'm complimented a lot that I'm pretty. That's like the go-to compliment people give me. You're so pretty. And that is so flattering. But it seems like more of a compliment you give your friends. Like, oh, you're so pretty. Oh, you're so pretty. It's much more casual. It's much more like, oh, like, you're just my friend. I'm calling you pretty. While there's like a, I guess, masculine way of being complimented where he's like, oh, he's so hot and things like that. And there's just like a clear difference. I feel like I get pity complimented sometimes. I want the benefits of being perceived as attractive and masculine because there's a lot more benefits, not just that I've seen with my own eyes. I have friends, when we go out and we're at a social event, I see how their experiences compared to my experience. We would enter a room and people would look at them. When people would approach us, their focus would be on them. I couldn't help but think, oh, it's because of how we're being perceived right now. And they're being perceived as this masculine, attractive man. Obviously, that is a benefit in social events because people would want to approach you more. Like a random add-on, but I'm a short dude. I feel like because I'm short, people perceive me in a certain way as well. I have like less power when I enter a room. I want to be able to enter a room and feel very confident and tall, and being physically tall and you enter a room, it's just so much easier to have that confidence and feel like you own the room. I also want to be more approachable and have opportunities more easily come to me. And honestly, I could just be describing pretty privilege right now. How I'm gonna be perceived affects my fashion so much. I find more fashion inspiration from women. I just feel like you could do more with women's fashion. Way more different silhouettes, way more layering, way more patterns and color, and it's just much more interesting. So obviously, getting inspired by women's fashion, I incorporate a lot of that into my own fashion sense. What I notice is that when I do dress fashionably and more femininely, I don't feel attractive in it. I go through this battle where I'm like, okay, do I want to be fashionable and like try something new and be a little bit more unique with it? Or do I want to, dress a little more simply and more masculine just so that people perceive me as more attractive? So why do I care so much about being attractive? Maybe it's because I don't feel very wanted. I haven't dated anybody. I haven't really talked to that many people romantically, and the opportunities just don't really come. Anyways, moving on. Hopefully some of that made sense and you guys got kind of what I was trying to put down. I will say a lot of my friends have a lot of admirable attributes that I would like to have. For some reason, everybody here is so optimistic, at least the people around me. I'm much so a realist. I look at things at how they are. I can be a bit pessimistic at times. I'm just not very like, but my friends are that. They're like always so positive, and it's very inspiring, and it has rubbed off on me. Even though I'm definitely not at the level they are, I do actively try to practice the attributes that they have. You are who you surround yourself with and your closest friends. Yesterday, I texted two of my close friends and I was like, when you look at me, can you see me in a relationship? Can you actually like picture me next to somebody and I'm dating them? And like, it doesn't look weird. Because I remember back in middle school, people would be like, yeah, I can't imagine you like dating anybody or like you being in a relationship. And it's kind of backhanded because it's almost like they're saying, oh yeah, I can't imagine anyone loving you. And I think people do actually still look at me that way, where that bothers me. I wonder, people perceiving me that way, that almost wards off romance. And I feel like I talk about love in every video, but it's a thing that's always on my mind constantly. Why do people look at me that way? Am I not lovable? Am I not attractive enough for people to want me? And why I bring this up is because when I look at my friends, I can see them in relationships, and I think that says a lot. The friends I can see in relationships, I feel like they are pursued a lot and they get much more opportunities, romantic opportunities as well, like slide into their DMs. Like my DMs, ghost town, guys. You would think being on the internet, you probably get so many DMs. Empty. At the end of the day though, I think it's all about how you see yourself. That's all that matters. You get to decide who you are. You can wake up one day and just change whatever you want, whether it's an attribute about yourself, physically or internally. Nobody else's opinions matter. It doesn't matter how other people look at you, you're just loving yourself and practicing to have confidence. I sounded very negative throughout this entire video and it kind of made me bleh, but I think at the end of the day, like, that is the solution to all of this. I guess I would just like life to be a bit easier, for me to have the same experiences as my friends and my peers who are perceived in a different way than me. I know today's topic was supposed to be perception and I mostly talked about attraction, but I think attraction is a form of being perceived. Anyways, I'm now finished getting ready. I'll leave all the products I use down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Maybe you learned something, maybe you related to something. I think the whole concept of perception is such a vast topic that there's so many things you can get into, the subgroups. How do you guys perceive me? Leave a comment below because I actually really want to know. I'm gonna go. Bye. Are we singing the outro song right now? Yeah? Okay. Was it something I said? Oh, fuck.